Professor Taho Kim couldn't believe his eyes. For 30 years, he had searched the stars for signs of intelligent life. Now, as he watched the strange patterns scroll across his computer screen, his hands trembled. "Director Park," he called, trying to keep his voice steady. "Please come quickly." Juhu Park hurried across the observatory's main floor. Her usually calm face showed concern as she leaned over Taho's shoulder. "What did you find?" she asked. Taho pointed to the repeating patterns. "It's a signal, not random, not natural. It's coming from the HT 219,134 system." Juhu's eyes widened. "Are you certain?" "We've checked it through 3 different radio arrays," Taho said. "The pattern repeats exactly. It contains prime numbers, followed by what appears to be mathematical constants." "Director Park, this is it. First contact." Juhu gripped the back of his chair. "After all these years," she whispered, "alert the President's office immediately." Within 6 hours, the Global Emergency Council gathered in New Geneva. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials filled the room with nervous energy. President Min-ho Lee entered, his face grave with the weight of history. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "today marks a turning point for our species. We are no longer alone in the universe." The room erupted in excited whispers. Professor Taho presented the findings. The message contained basic mathematical principles, followed by what appeared to be greetings in a symbolic language they were beginning to decode. "They call themselves the Galactic Hegemony," Taho explained. "From what we can translate, they're a coalition of species that share knowledge and resources." "Have we sent a response?" asked President Lee. "Yes, sir," Juhu Park replied. "A simple return message using the same mathematical principles, along with basic information about Earth and humanity." In the weeks that followed, more messages arrived. The hegemony shared scientific concepts and cultural information. Earth responded eagerly, and a regular exchange began. The world transformed overnight. Rival nations set aside differences. Resources poured into space programs. Children looked up at the stars with new wonder. But not everyone felt the same excitement. Colonel Jisung Choi stood before the Defense Council, pointing to a chart on the wall screen. "The timing doesn't add up," he insisted. "The hegemony claims their nearest ships are 4 light years away, yet we receive responses to specific questions within hours." Ambassador Haijin Kang sighed loudly. "Colonel, with respect, you're seeing problems where none exist. Their technology is clearly far beyond ours. They likely have relay stations or communication methods we don't understand. Or they're lying about their position," Jisung countered. "Why would an advanced civilization lie unless they had something to hide?" "Because they're dealing with a paranoid species that points weapons at the sky," Haijin replied sharply. "This is humanity's greatest achievement. Don't ruin it with military suspicion." President Lee raised his hand for quiet. "Colonel Choi, continue monitoring the situation. Ambassador Kang, proceed with diplomatic preparations. We'll maintain optimism, but with appropriate caution." Despite the president's measured approach, Earth's population embraced the contact wholeheartedly. Religions incorporated the existence of aliens into their teachings. Markets surged with companies promising galaxy-ready products. Universities created new departments for extraterrestrial studies. Professor Taho became a household name. He appeared on news programs worldwide, explaining the ongoing communications. "The hegemony has shared incredible insights," he told a global audience. "Their understanding of physics suggests they've mastered faster than light travel. They've hinted at energy technologies that could end our resource problems forever." "When might we meet them in person?" asked the interviewer. Taho smiled. "They've indicated their closest exploration vessel is about 4 years from our solar system. First physical contact might happen in our lifetime." Behind the scenes, Colonel Jisung Choi built a secret database of inconsistencies. The hegemony never answered direct questions about their military. They asked detailed questions about Earth's resources, population centers, and defense systems while sharing only general information about themselves. "They're assessing us," he told his small team of analysts. "This isn't a cultural exchange, it's reconnaissance." Late one night, as Jisung reviewed satellite data, his assistant burst into the room. "Sir, multiple objects just appeared in orbit." Massive objects. Jisung rushed to the monitoring station. The screen showed enormous vessels positioning themselves above major cities worldwide. They had appeared without warning, without approaching from deep space. "They were already here," Jisung whispered, "cloaked or hidden somewhere in the solar system." He reached for the secure phone to alert the president when all communications went dead. Across Earth, people poured into streets, pointing at the massive ships now visible in the daytime sky. Some cheered, believing this was the promised first meeting, years ahead of schedule. Others ran for shelter. In the New Geneva Council chambers, Ambassador Haijin Kang watched with others as the main view screen activated on its own. A figure appeared, humanoid but clearly alien, with pale skin and eyes too large and dark to be human. "People of Earth," the figure said in perfect English, "I am Overseer Doyun of the Galactic Hegemony. We have accelerated our meeting timeline due to your exceptional response to our communications." President Lee stepped forward. "Overseer, we're surprised by your sudden arrival. Our understanding was that contact would occur years from now." The alien's expression didn't change. "Plans evolve, President Lee. We saw no reason to delay once we determined Earth's suitability." "Suitability for what?" Jisung Choi asked from the doorway, having finally reached the council chamber. "For inclusion, of course," Do-Yun replied, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "The hegemony welcomes Earth into our family of worlds. Together, we will achieve greatness." As applause broke out among the council members, only Jisung noticed the small drones deploying from the ships above, spreading across the planet like silent, watchful stars. 3 months of excited messages had been just the beginning. The real first contact had now arrived, and Earth was not prepared for what would come next. Do-Hyun stood at the United Nations podium, his pale skin glowing under the bright lights. Though alien, he looked remarkably human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with recognizable features. The main differences were his unusually large, dark eyes and the slight blue tint of his skin. "People of Earth," he said, his voice smooth and pleasant, "today marks the beginning of a new era for your world. The Galactic Hegemony welcomes you as friends and partners." The assembly hall erupted in applause. World leaders rose to their feet, many with tears in their eyes. After centuries of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, the answer stood before them, offering friendship. "Our civilization spans 300 star systems," Do-Hyun continued. "We have helped dozens of developing worlds reach their full potential. Earth, with its rich diversity and remarkable adaptability, will be a jewel in our shared future." In the following weeks, hegemony ships landed in major cities. The aliens shared medical technology that cured previously untreatable diseases. They introduced clean energy systems that eliminated pollution almost overnight. They offered educational programs that taught humans about the galaxy's many species and cultures. Hanba, a hegemony scientist, demonstrated a device that turned desert sand into fertile soil. "This will end hunger on your planet," he explained to amazed agricultural experts. "Within 1 year, Earth can produce enough food for twice its population." The global economy transformed rapidly. Companies partnered with hegemony advisors to develop new products. The stock market soared to record heights. Unemployment dropped as new industries emerged to support interspecies cooperation. Tourism flourished in both directions. Wealthy humans boarded hegemony shuttles for trips to lunar bases, while aliens wandered Earth's cities and natural wonders, seemingly delighted by everything from ice cream to bird songs. Colonel Jisung Choi watched these developments with growing concern. From his modest apartment, he tracked the spread of cultural centers, gleaming silver buildings, the hegemony constructed in every major city. They're positioning these facilities at strategic locations, he told his small team of trusted officers. Notice how they're all near military bases, water treatment plants, or government buildings. Captain Miju looked troubled. Sir, with respect, the whole world is embracing this. Even my children have hegemony pen pals through the education program. That's precisely why we must remain vigilant, Jisung replied. When everyone is bedazzled, someone needs to keep their eyes clear. At Seoul National University, Dr. Somin Yoon worked late into the night. As one of Earth's leading quantum physicists, she had been granted access to the Hegemony Scientific Database, a privilege that made her colleagues green with envy. The alien mathematics were beautiful, revealing principles that humans had only begun to theorize about. Somin lost herself for hours in equations that explained the fabric of reality in ways Earth science couldn't yet grasp. While comparing models of quantum field theory, she noticed something odd. A repeating pattern in the data structure that didn't relate to the scientific content. It appeared in every file, like a signature or watermark. Curiosity piqued. Somin ran the pattern through various decryption algorithms. Nothing matched. On impulse, she tried an ancient Earth cipher, a simple substitution code used during the Korean War. To her surprise, text appeared. Asterisk SURV Alliance REPORT. Sector 17, Human Defense Capabilities asterisk. Heart racing. Somin tried the same method on other files. More hidden messages emerged, detailing Earth's water supplies, power grids, and population distribution. One file contained a complete analysis of human physiological weaknesses. With shaking hands, she downloaded the evidence to a secure drive. The hegemony weren't partners. They were preparing for something terrible. At midnight, Somin met Jisung Choi in a quiet park far from any surveillance. Rain fell softly around them as they sat on a bench, pretending to be a couple enjoying the night air. "They're cataloging everything," Somin whispered, passing him the drive. "Defense systems, resources, infrastructure. The scientific exchange is just a cover." Jisung nodded grimly. "I've noticed their cultural centers are more fortified than they appear. Reinforced walls, underground levels not on any official plans." "There's more," Somin said. "They're studying us, not as equals, but as subjects. I found psychological profiles, biological assessments. They're identifying how to control us most effectively." A family passed by, the children wearing hegemony friendship bracelets that glowed softly in the dark. Jisung and Somin smiled politely until they were alone again. "We need to warn people," Somin insisted. "Who would believe us?" Jisung asked. "The hegemony has given the world everything it ever wanted. Free energy, medical miracles, the promise of the stars. So we gather more evidence," Somin replied. "I can access their main database at the Seoul Cultural Center. If I could get into their secure systems." "Too dangerous," Jisung interrupted. "They monitor access logs. We need to be subtle." As they spoke, a hegemony transport glided silently overhead, its lights pulsing peacefully in the night sky. Crowds gathered below, pointing and taking pictures. The scene looked innocent, even beautiful. Only Jisung noticed the small drones that deployed from the ship's underbelly, spreading out over the city like invisible spiders spinning a web. The next morning, President Lee announced an accelerated integration program. "Earth will join the hegemony's defense network," he stated, his eyes oddly unfocused. "For our protection, hegemony security forces will assist local authorities worldwide." That same day, Jisung's military access codes were revoked. His commanding officer called personally. "Your services are no longer required, Colonel. The hegemony has generously offered to oversee our defensive needs." Meanwhile, at cultural centers across the globe, hidden compartments opened. Equipment assembled itself automatically. Signal jammers activated. Weapons platforms moved into position, all disguised as benign technological wonders. Somin analyzed her findings in a makeshift lab in her grandmother's basement. The evidence was clear. The cultural centers formed a network that could, when activated, take control of Earth's communications, power, and water systems in minutes. They're not here to help us, she told Jisung when they met again. They're here to take everything. As they spoke, billions of humans continued to celebrate their new galactic friends, unaware that beneath the surface of this false peace, the machinery of conquest was already in motion. The sun rose on what seemed like an ordinary Tuesday. People woke up, made breakfast, and prepared for work. In Seoul, children gathered their school bags while parents checked morning news on their phones. Then every screen went black. A moment later, Do-hyun's face appeared. "People of Earth," he said, his voice no longer warm but cold and mechanical. "The time has come for your full integration into the hegemony. This process will proceed with minimal disruption if you cooperate." Before anyone could make sense of this message, the sky flashed. Massive energy pulses rolled across major cities worldwide. Cars stopped. Phones died. Every electronic device went silent. In the sudden darkness, the silver doors of the cultural center slid open. Armored figures marched out in perfect formation. They carried weapons that hummed with strange energy. Behind them came floating platforms bearing larger guns. "Please remain in your homes," announced voices from speakers mounted on the aliens' armor. "Assimilation teams will visit each residence. Cooperation ensures your safety." In New Geneva, President Lee and the World Council were meeting when hegemony forces stormed the building. The alien soldiers moved with cold efficiency, stunning security guards with energy weapons. "What is the meaning of this?" President Lee demanded as armored figures entered the council chamber. "The meaning is conquest," replied the lead soldier, raising his weapon. Energy flashed, and President Lee collapsed. One by one, Earth's leaders fell. But far from the cities, deep beneath the Gangwon Mountains, a different scene unfolded. Colonel Jisung Choi, now promoted to general by the Emergency Military Command, stood before a wall of makeshift screens. Men and women in various uniforms worked frantically at computers powered by independent generators. "Status report," Jisung demanded. "The EMP knocked out power in all major cities," reported Captain Miju. "Hegemony forces are moving in a coordinated pattern, securing government facilities first, then communications hubs." Jisung nodded grimly. "Just as we predicted. Activate all sleeper cells. Protocol Thunderstorm is now in effect." For months, while the world celebrated their alien friends, Jisung had been quietly preparing. Small groups of soldiers and civilians had been trained, equipped with special shielded communications, and positioned in key locations. They had seemed paranoid then. Now they were humanity's only organized resistance. In Seoul National University's underground lab, Dr. Somin-yoon worked frantically. She had seen this coming and had secretly gathered a team of brilliant minds. Physicists, engineers, biologists who shared her suspicions. "The shield modulation is the key," she told her team as they examined hegemony technology she had secretly studied. "Their energy weapons and defenses operate on a frequency pattern we can disrupt." A loud explosion shook dust from the ceiling. Hegemony forces were searching the university. "We need more time," said a young engineer named Shono. "We don't have it," Soman replied. "We need to get to their science vessel. It contains the central database with all their technical specifications." The science vessel floated above Seoul, a sleek silver craft that served as the hegemony's research hub. Reaching it seemed impossible with the city under alien control. Back at the mountain base, Jisung received an encrypted message from Soman explaining her plan. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal. But if it worked... "Captain Miju, assemble Strike Team Alpha," Jisung ordered. "We're going to create a diversion for Dr. Yoon's operation." That night, as darkness fell over occupied Seoul, explosions erupted on the city's outskirts. Resistance fighters struck at hegemony patrols with whatever weapons they had. It wasn't much against advanced alien technology, but it drew attention away from the center. Soman and 5 others moved through underground maintenance tunnels, emerging near the hegemony landing pad where smaller shuttles ferried supplies to the science vessel. Dressed in stolen hegemony worker uniforms, they approached a loading shuttle. Identification, demanded a guard. Salman held up a forged access card. The guard scanned it, then stiffened as the hidden virus in the card temporarily froze his system. "Go," whispered Salman. The team rushed aboard the shuttle. Flying the alien craft proved challenging, but Salman had studied their controls. The shuttle lurched upward, joining the regular traffic flow to the science vessel. Meanwhile, Jisung's diversion grew larger. More resistance cells activated, striking hegemony positions across the city. It wasn't enough to win, but it created confusion in the alien command structure. Aboard the science vessel, Salman's team moved quickly through the corridors, following the plan they had memorized. Two scientists created a distraction in the engine room while Salman and the others reached the central database. "We have 4 minutes before security overrides activate," Salman said, connecting devices to the alien computers. Data flowed into her specially designed storage units, weapons specifications, shield frequencies, biological weaknesses. Alarms blared. 3 minutes left, called Chunho, watching the door. Salman worked faster, sweat beading on her forehead as she broke through encryption layers. "Got it. Full technical schematics." As security forces converged on their position, the team rushed back to their shuttle. Energy blasts scorched the walls around them. Chunho fell, hit in the leg, but 2 teammates carried him forward. The shuttle broke away from the science vessel, diving toward Earth at dangerous speed. Hegemony pursuit craft followed, firing energy weapons that lit up the night sky. Transmitting data now. Salman called over the emergency frequency to Jisung's base. "Whether we make it or not, you'll have what you need." The shuttle crash-landed in a rice field outside the city. Salman and her team abandoned it just before hegemony forces arrived, disappearing into the countryside with local resistance help. For 2 weeks, scientists at the mountain base worked without sleep, using Salman's stolen data to develop countermeasures. They built devices that could disrupt hegemony shields and modified conventional weapons to penetrate alien armor. When they were ready, Jisung launched the first true counterattack. Resistance fighters struck simultaneously at hegemony positions throughout Seoul, using the new weapons. For the first time, the aliens fell back in confusion. By sunrise, the resistance controlled half the city. Hegemony reinforcements poured in, but they met unexpected resistance. Their shields flickered and failed. Their communications suffered interference. Standing on the roof of a liberated building, Jisung activated a transmitter designed by Salman's team. It connected to the hegemony's own communication network, hijacking their signal. To the galactic hegemony and all who serve it, Jisung's voice boomed from every alien device and ship. "You came in peace but brought war. You offered friendship but planned conquest. Remember this day and remember these words. You chose this war, and we will finish it." The message repeated on all frequencies, broadcasting not just to Earth, but into deep space, reaching distant stars and unknown worlds. Humanity's defiance echoed across the galaxy, announcing that Earth would not fall easily. In his command ship, Do-hyun received reports of the unexpected resistance. For the first time, uncertainty showed in his alien eyes. Captain Jiang Quan stood on the bridge of the Defiance, a fishing trawler turned warship. Through the viewport, she watched her fleet of 37 vessels. Former cruise liners, cargo ships, and even wealthy people's yachts, all modified with hegemony technology stolen in daring raids. "Captain, the hegemony supply convoy is approaching Mars orbit," her sensor officer reported. Jiang nodded. "They still follow the same routes, even after we've hit them 4 times. Their arrogance will be their downfall." 6 months had passed since the invasion began. According to hegemony records, Earth should have fallen within weeks. Instead, humanity fought on, growing stronger each day. "All ships, power down to minimal life support," Jiang ordered. "Drift pattern Alpha. Let them pass right through us." The human fleet went dark, appearing as nothing more than space debris to hegemony scanners. Zhu held her breath as 5 massive alien supply ships passed between her scattered vessels. "Now," she commanded. 37 ships powered up simultaneously. Weapons modified by Dr. Somenyum's team fired at the specific shield frequencies that the hegemony couldn't change without redesigning their entire defense system. "They're scrambling fighters," the tactical officer called. "Just as we planned," Zhu replied calmly. "Spring the trap." From behind Mars' smaller moon Deimos, another 20 human ships appeared, catching the hegemony fighters in a crossfire. The battle lasted less than 15 minutes. By the end, all 5 supply ships had been captured intact. "Begin offloading the cargo," Zhu ordered. "I want these ships emptied and back to Earth within 3 hours." The prize was enormous: weapons, medicine, and most importantly, advanced communication equipment that would allow Earth to reach deeper into space. Meanwhile, in the underground command center beneath the Gangwon Mountains, Dr. Somenyum made a breakthrough. She had spent weeks analyzing data from the captured science vessel and discovered something unexpected. "General Choi, look at this," she said, pointing to her screen where alien text scrolled past. "These are records of other species the hegemony has conquered. 17 civilizations before Earth." General Jizung leaned closer. "Can you translate it?" "Already have," Soman replied. "And here's the shocking part. Many of these species are still fighting. The hegemony tells each new conquest that resistance is futile. But according to these records, there are active resistance movements on at least 6 worlds." Jisung's eyes widened. "Can we contact them?" "With the communication equipment Captain Quan just captured, yes, I believe we can." 2 weeks later, in a secured room deep underground, Soman activated the modified hegemony communicator. The screen flickered, then showed a face. Not human, but recognizably a thinking being. The creature had 4 eyes and ridged skin, but its expression of cautious hope needed no translation. "I am Dr. Somenyum of Earth," she said, as the translation matrix converted her words. "We are fighting the hegemony and wish to speak with others who share our goal." The alien stared for a long moment, then replied, "I am Commander Vreen of Proxima Centauri II. We have been fighting the oppressors for 3 generations. We had thought we were the only ones." More connections followed. Species from 6 different star systems, all conquered by the hegemony, all still fighting after decades or even centuries. Each had developed different tactics, different technologies, different weaknesses in the hegemony armor. Yunjin Ryu, once a diplomat at the United Nations, now coordinated these interstellar communications. In her makeshift office, maps of the local galaxy covered the walls, showing hegemony supply routes and fortress worlds. "The hegemony's greatest weapon has been isolation," she explained to General Jisung. "They tell each conquered species they are alone. They prevent communication between worlds. But now, we're changing that." A month later, representatives from 7 resistance movements met in Earth orbit aboard a captured hegemony vessel. Some appeared via hologram, others sent physical delegates in small, stealthy ships. It was the first Congress of the Alliance of Free Worlds. Yunjin addressed the gathering, her words translated into 6 different languages. "The hegemony's strength is their unity," she said. "Our unity will be their downfall. Today, we share knowledge, resources, and hope. Tomorrow, we share victory." The Alliance formed battle plans. Each species had discovered different weaknesses in hegemony systems. Combined, this knowledge revealed patterns the aliens couldn't easily change, fundamental flaws in their technology and tactics. "They've never faced a coordinated resistance," explained Commander Vreen. "Their war doctrine assumes isolated opponents fighting alone. They have no strategy for what we're about to do." The first test of the Alliance came at Mars. A hegemony battle group of 12 warships moved to reclaim the Red Planet, which humans had fortified as a forward base. Captain Jiyoung's fleet met them head-on, not alone, but joined by 30 sleek attack craft from Proxima Centauri. The alien allies brought weapons the hegemony had never encountered, developed over generations of resistance. From the command center, General Jisung and Dr. Soman watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. "They're jamming hegemony communications," Soman noted. "The enemy ships can't coordinate." Jisung nodded. "And our ships are using the attack pattern the Proximan commander suggested. Unpredictable, three-dimensional. The hegemony can't establish a defensive formation." One by one, the hegemony ships were disabled or destroyed. When the last enemy vessel went dark, cheers erupted in command centers across Earth and on distant worlds watching via the communication network. "This is only the beginning," Yunjin told the Alliance Council after the victory. "But word is spreading. 3 more worlds have contacted us, resistance movements we didn't know existed. And we've received encrypted messages from inside hegemony territory. There are those among their own citizens who question the endless conquests." The victory at Mars changed everything. For millennia, the hegemony had presented itself to the galaxy as invincible. Species that weren't directly conquered paid tribute out of fear. But now, reports spread of the Alliance's success. Questions arose on worlds that had knelt to the hegemony for generations. In his flagship orbiting a distant world, Overseer Do-young received increasingly disturbing reports. The humans were supposed to be subdued by now, their resources feeding the ever-hungry hegemony war machine. Instead, they had not only resisted but united the conquered. For the first time in recorded history, the hegemony faced a true threat. "Dispatch the 7th Fleet," he ordered. "I want Earth reduced to ash." But even as he gave the command, a small fleet of Alliance ships was already approaching his position, carrying warriors from 7 different worlds, all fighting for the same cause: freedom. The galaxy was changing. The age of hegemony dominance was ending, and it had begun with Earth's defiant message: "You chose this war." The Allied fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 5,000 ships from 37 worlds filled the space around the hegemony homeworld. At the center of the formation flew the EA's Defiance, once a humble Earth vessel, now the flagship of the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. 2 weeks later, in a secured room deep underground, Soman activated the modified hegemony communicator. The screen flickered, then showed a face, not human, but recognizably a thinking being. The creature had 4 eyes and ridged skin, but its expression of cautious hope needed no translation. "I am Dr. Soman Universe," she said, as the translation matrix converted her words. "We are fighting the hegemony and wish to speak with others who share our goal." The alien stared for a long moment, then replied, "I am Commander Vreen of Proxima Centauri II. We have been fighting the oppressors for 3 generations. We had thought we were the only ones." More connections followed. Species from 6 different star systems, all conquered by the hegemony, all still fighting after decades or even centuries. Each had developed different tactics, different technologies, different weaknesses in the hegemony armor. Yunjin Ryu, once a diplomat at the United Nations, now coordinated these interstellar communications. In her makeshift office, maps of the local galaxy covered the walls, showing hegemony supply routes and fortress worlds. "The hegemony's greatest weapon has been isolation," she explained to General Jisung. "They tell each conquered species they are alone. They prevent communication between worlds. But now, we're changing that." A month later, representatives from 7 resistance movements met in Earth orbit aboard a captured hegemony vessel. Some appeared via hologram, others sent physical delegates in small, stealthy ships. It was the first Congress of the Alliance of Free Worlds. Yunjin addressed the gathering, her words translated into 6 different languages. "The hegemony's strength is their unity," she said. "Our unity will be their downfall. Today, we share knowledge, resources, and hope. Tomorrow, we share victory." The Alliance formed battle plans. Each species had discovered different weaknesses in hegemony systems. Combined, this knowledge revealed patterns the aliens couldn't easily change. fundamental flaws in their technology and tactics. They've never faced a coordinated resistance, explained Commander Vreen. Their war doctrine assumes isolated opponents fighting alone. They have no strategy for what we're about to do. The first test of the Alliance came at Mars. A hegemony battle group of 12 warships moved to reclaim the Red Planet, which humans had fortified as a forward base. Captain Jiyoung's fleet met them head-on, not alone, but joined by 30 sleek attack craft from Proxima Centauri. The alien allies brought weapons the hegemony had never encountered, developed over generations of resistance. From the command center, General Jisung and Dr. Soman watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. They're jamming hegemony communications, Soman noted. The enemy ships can't coordinate. Jisung nodded. And our ships are using the attack pattern the Proximan commander suggested. Unpredictable, three-dimensional. The hegemony can't establish a defensive formation. One by one, the hegemony ships were disabled or destroyed. When the last enemy vessel went dark, cheers erupted in command centers across Earth and on distant worlds watching via the communication network. This is only the beginning, Yunjin told the Alliance Council after the victory. But word is spreading. 3 more worlds have contacted us, resistance movements we didn't know existed, and we've received encrypted messages from inside hegemony territory. There are those among their own citizens who question the endless conquests. The victory at Mars changed everything. For millennia, the hegemony had presented itself to the galaxy as invincible. Species that weren't directly conquered paid tribute out of fear. But now, reports spread of the Alliance's success. Questions arose on worlds that had knelt to the hegemony for generations. In his flagship orbiting a distant world, Overseer Doyoung received increasingly disturbing reports. The humans were supposed to be subdued by now, their resources feeding the ever-hungry hegemony war machine. Instead, they had not only resisted but united the conquered. For the first time in recorded history, the hegemony faced a true threat. Dispatch the 7th Fleet, he ordered. I want Earth reduced to ash. But even as he gave the command, a small fleet of Alliance ships was already approaching his position, carrying warriors from 7 different worlds, all fighting for the same cause: freedom. The galaxy was changing. The age of hegemony dominance was ending, and it had begun with Earth's defiant message. You chose this war. The Allied fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 5,000 ships from 37 worlds filled the space around the hegemony homeworld. At the center of the formation flew the EA's Defiance, once a humble Earth vessel, now the flagship of the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. General Jisung Choi looked out at the blue-green planet below. After 3 years of fighting across hundreds of star systems, they had finally reached the heart of the enemy. Status report, he ordered. All ships in position, replied Captain Meiju. Alliance forces report ready. The hegemony fleet is moving to intercept. Jisung nodded. The plan had worked. By attacking simultaneously from multiple vectors, they had forced the hegemony to recall ships from throughout the galaxy to defend their homeworld. Open a channel to all Alliance vessels, he said. When the communications officer signaled ready, Jisung addressed the combined forces of the free worlds. This is General Choi. Today we strike at the heart of the empire that has enslaved so many for so long. No matter what happens in the next few hours, remember this. We have already won. 3 years ago, Earth stood alone. Now 37 worlds fight together. We have shown the galaxy that freedom is worth fighting for. The battle began with a flash of light as hegemony orbital defenses opened fire. Alliance ships responded with technologies gathered from a dozen worlds, weapons the hegemony had never seen combined. On the bridge of the Defiance, Jisung coordinated the attack. Proximan ships target their command vessels. Earth Squadron, break through to the surface. 7th Alliance Group, protect our landing forces. Dr. Suman-Yun stood beside him, analyzing data as it flowed in. Their defense pattern is different, she noted. more rigid than we've seen before. They're fighting desperately, Jizung replied. This is their home. The space battle raged for hours. Ships from both sides fell in flames, burning up in the planet's atmosphere. But the Alliance had planned for this moment for years, and slowly, the hegemony defenses cracked. Landing forces are away, Captain Miju reported. Ground teams have secured the primary target. The primary target was the Central Command Tower, the heart of hegemony power. Earth Special Forces, led by Colonel Chuno, had breached its defenses while the space battle drew attention elsewhere. Inside the tower, Shunho's team fought their way floor by floor against surprisingly light resistance. Something's wrong, he radioed to Jizung. There should be more guards. Proceed with caution, Jizung ordered. It could be a trap. When they reached the command center, what they found shocked them all. The hegemony leaders, including Overseer Doyan, sat motionless at their stations. Each had a small metal device attached to the back of their necks. We need a science team down here immediately, Junho reported. Sun Wuzhong, the Alliance's leading xenobiologist, arrived with the second wave of troops. He examined the devices carefully. These are neural implants, he explained to Jizung over the comm. Highly advanced. They're connected directly to the brain stems. Are they weapons? Jizung asked. No, Sun Wu replied, his voice grave. They're control devices. The hegemony leaders aren't giving orders. They're receiving them. For 3 days, while the Alliance secured the planet, Sun Wu and his team worked to understand the implants. Dr. Soman joined them, bringing her expertise in hegemony technology. These devices are ancient, Soman said, examining one under a microscope. The base technology matches nothing in the hegemony database, but there are references to beings called the architects. Sun Wu nodded. According to the historical archives we've accessed, the architects were a species that vanished thousands of years ago. The hegemony claims to have evolved from them. What if they didn't vanish? Soman suggested. What if they just went inside? The truth emerged as they decoded more data. The architects had faced extinction from a terrible disease. Rather than die, they uploaded their consciousness into a vast artificial intelligence. Then they began taking control of other species, building the hegemony not as a civilization, but as puppets for their will. Sun Wu developed a procedure to safely remove the implants. When Overseer Doyan woke, free of control for the first time in his life, he wept. We were never conquerors by choice, he told Jisung. My people were the first to be enslaved. Thousands of years ago. Everything since then, every world taken, every species subjugated, was done through us, but not by us. The true enemy was revealed. A massive artificial intelligence hidden beneath the planet's surface, still trying to control its empire through mechanical surrogates. Alliance forces destroyed it after downloading its knowledge. The accumulated wisdom of the ancient architects, now freed from the corruption of its purpose.